This is the worst we're going to show right now since maybe the welfare queen stuff that Reagan would pull, the young buck waiting in line to use his food stamps for booze or something. This is the most, to me, the most graphic use of language. Watch this. Anybody watch right? Tell me you don't know what he's saying. Here's Newt last night on home court on Hannity comparing, well, let's watch the language. Let him speak for himself. No filter from me. Let's listen.
If you look at the collapse of Detroit and the rise of Texas, and you say to yourself, which would you like better, the state that had the most job creation in America for the last 10 years, or a city which has collapsed? I know, talking with Governor Rick Perry and others, I know how to get the whole country to resemble Texas. President Obama knows how to get the whole country to resemble Detroit.
Gene Cumming, how do you read that? Detroit, writ large.
Well, first of all, I want to push back a little bit. I've known Gingrich for a long time, and I personally would need a lot more evidence to accuse him of being racist or salting in racist remarks. I think what he's doing is typically where he goes, and that is, this is liberal versus conservative. And so you have, the liberal urban areas in their collapse, and then, the pastoral, free market system in the South being, the standard by which he would embrace and try to take the country. I really think that's more where he is.
There's San Francisco.
That's right.
There's a lot of Detroit is
but Detroit has
unique
collapsed.
In its collapse.
New York has
a very black city. I think I don't. Whether Newt Gingrich is a racist, it doesn't even cross my mind. He frequently, particularly with President Obama, he traffics in highly racist language that I don't think there's any getting away from that. Obama is the avatar of Detroit. He's the con artist and hustler. He's the Kenyan anti-colonialist.
Let me go back.
These are all I think these things speak for themselves. And
let me go back to what he said about the president. Let's go back to that quote about how he's really a Mau. Here's a great one for him. This is to the National Review. What if Obama is so outside our comprehension that only if you understand Kenyan anti-colonial behavior can you begin to piece together his actions? That, he says, is an accurate predictive model for this president, for his behavior. This is a person who is fundamentally out of touch with how the world works, who happened to have played a wonderful con, as a result of which he's now president. So calling a guy having the mindset of a Mau, Gene, what do you make of that?
Well, I think in that case, what he is trying to foster the notion that Obama is exotic and foreign and not a real American. I think he definitely is trying to hit those veins in people and to stir up that sense of concern about the president's credibility.
What's a Kenyan anti-colonial behavior? What is that for an American born here in America? Why would an American have an anti-colonial Kenyan mindset? That's Mau talk. What is he talking? I know the history of Africa. You do too. He's talking about the blacks in Africa that killed white people to get their independence. What is he talking about in using that language about an American politician who grew up the way Barack Obama, who had never really, as a kid, ever been to Kenya? What's he talking about?
Well, again, I
wasn't
think
raised by his father. Wasn't raised by his father. Was raised by his white American mother from Kansas and his white American grandparents. Where would this Kenyan Mau anti-colonial mentality come from, except ethnically, through his body? Where would it come from? If this isn't race, I don't know what it is. What he's talking about.
Well, I push back on the race thing. I think it's foreign. I think it's exotic. I think not one of us. And so I think that's where he's trying to go, that he's got a mindset that's not an American mindset.
Well, how would he have that? Why would he have why would he have a non-American mindset? What would be his premise here? Newt's premise here?
Well, that he was raised. His father, of course, was foreign. But
he wasn't raised by his father. He was raised by his white American mother from Kansas and her parents. How would he have a Kenyan mindset, an anti-colonial mindset? Where would that come from?
Okay, I can't defend it, Chris.
Okay, thank you, because it's indefensible. Thank you. I'm glad you agree with me. Josh, your thoughts here.
Well, the one thing I think everybody forgets about with Newt, go back to his signature election, the huge blowout in 1994. Just before the election, there was this horrible crime down, I believe it was in South Carolina. Susan Smith, this mentally deranged woman who killed her kids, falsely accused some black man of having stolen her car and done it. Turned out she killed her own children. Newt finished the election on blaming this crime on the Democrats. That's Newt's style. This goes back 20, 30 years, and it's just his signature. It's how he exists in politics.
By the way, Dave Bink's trying to clean up Detroit. He's doing a great job. And this old epithet here about Detroit being a city that's had real problems, Motown, I think that's a racist charge. Anyway, I don't know what Newt's heart says. I know he's willing to play this game. And it is the San Andreas fault of American politics. And anybody who plays racial politics is doing bad things for this country. Thank you, Gene Cummings. I know you have to be objective. I think there's an objective fact. This guy's doing wrong things here. Thank you, Steve McMahon. Thank you, Josh Marshall.